You're listening to Therachronicles with Dr. Rosy and Dr. Krish. This health awareness series is brought to you by Therachron, tailoring therapy.
Hey, hello, I'm Dr. Rosy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Krish. We welcome you to the 6th episode of Season 1 of Therachronicles. In our previous episode, we spoke with Priyangee Lahiry on Diet Conscious. If you have missed out on it, do click onto the link for the same in the description below.
So last time, we had asked our listeners to mail us their queries regarding diet and diabetes. And we are extremely happy to let you know that we have received an overwhelming response. Thank you. Now, like last time, we have with us Priyangee Lahiry, a registered consulting dietitian and diabetes educator. By now, you all must be knowing her.
It is such a pleasure to have you back on Therachronicles. Welcome, Priyangee.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to join you on this episode for this discussion.
So, Priyangee, of the many questions which we have received, we chose the most common ones and have clubbed them together for a comprehensive discussion today.
The most queries that we have received were regarding rice. We know that there is a natural tendency of diabetic patients to stop rice completely. And many of them who have been rice eaters all through face a lot of issues because of this. So Priyangee, if you could please tell our audience a way out without giving up on rice.
Yes, absolutely. See, you need not give up rice as long as it is taken as a part of a mixed meal with dals, plenty of vegetables and some proteins, the way I explained the plate method. So as long as you are having it that way, it is absolutely fine. And yeah, people also do ask me that whether they should, switch to chapatis. See, chapati is of course better in certain ways because it has a lot more fiber. But remember, chapati and rice both have almost the same amount of carbohydrates. So it's not that if you are switching to chapatis, you can have more of it. So it's not that. And so if you are substituting rice with chapati, the amount should be the same. That is, a cup of cooked rice, 1 cup is roughly 200 ml capacity. So a cup of cooked rice is equivalent to, say, 1 medium to big chapati. So you can exchange it in that way. And you actually need not give up rice if you choose unpolished rice or parboiled rice and you have it as a part of a mixed meal.
Okay. Now, another concern that people have been writing to us is regarding potatoes. We have been asked, are potatoes a complete no-no? Well, in our practice, we keep hearing from our patient questions like, if I boil the potato and then throw away the water, will it help? If I take a sabzi which has some potato in it, but avoid the potatoes, will it still harm me? Please help our listeners with this.
Yeah, see, again, potatoes are not at all untouchables. In fact, they are healthy carbohydrates. So they can be included in your diet, but you'll have to count it into your total, starch or carbohydrate allowance. See, basically, as I was telling you, that we need to cut down the amount of starchy food intake. Your basically rice and chapatis, cereals are staples, so we cannot cut them down beyond a certain point. So that is why sometimes, there is a blanket ban on potatoes that is imposed, but you need not do that. You can always substitute a portion of your chapati or rice if you want to have your favorite, aloo ki sabzi or aloo ka bharta or whatever. And also, if you can, in your regular sabzi, if you want to have potatoes, that's fine. You can have a few small pieces, provided you combine it with generous amounts of other non-starchy or leafy vegetables like cabbage or spinach or lauki or whatever. So you can, very well have potatoes in that manner. And coming to your second question, discarding the water, no, it does not help in any way because with the water, maybe some water-soluble substances go out, but the starch stays inside the potatoes.
Well, so some myths are definitely busted around diet and diabetics. Thank you. Next, we had some queries about diabetic food available in the market. People want to know if they are really safe.
See, there are a lot of foods that are labeled as diabetic food products. Many of these foods either have no sugar added in them, or they are made of some multigrain or whole grain sources. So based on these, they claim that it is safe for diabetics or a diabetic food product. But one has to remember that even if it has no sugar added in it, or even if it is made of some healthy ingredient, that doesn't mean it is calorie free or carbohydrate free. So it's not a free food. One has to remember that. So whether it is a sweet or a malted beverage or a health drink or whatever, one has to remember that it can contain almost similar amounts of calories or carbohydrates and the other things as compared to the regular products of these kind. So one has to be cautious, because whenever we read this term diabetic product or safe for diabetics, we tend to go overboard and we think that it's okay to have these. So you need to have them with caution.
Now, coming to another topic, which is of that of alternative sweeteners and sugar substitutes. As we have found over the mails that there are a lot of controversies and confusions around them. Please help our listeners take an informed call on these alternatives.
Yes. See, many people ask me about honey and jaggery powder, whether they can use these instead of sugars. And let me tell you that these are same as sugars, as I've already talked about the sources of simple carbohydrates. So these are as good as sugar. And basically, see, why the claim is made that these are better, because these might contain some minerals and antioxidants which your regular table sugar, which is more refined, doesn't have, but they are all the same. So it's of no use using honey or jaggery powder instead of sugar.
And what about artificial sugar substitutes?
Yes. See, artificial sugar substitutes are basically, these are non-caloric sugar substitutes. That is, they have very, almost negligible calories, and these are several hundred times sweeter than your regular table sugar. So these are needed in tiny amounts to reach the desired level of sweetness. So that is, so those are your non-caloric artificial sugar substitutes. Now, again, people ask me many questions about whether they are safe, whether they will increase your blood sugar levels or not. See, increasing blood sugar levels, no, because they are, as I said, they are non-caloric. They have negligible calories, so no effect on blood sugar. But regarding the safety, yes, see, they are generally safe if you consume them in moderate portions, in moderations. All of these have accepted daily intake levels. So if you are sticking to that, it's fine. You can use them in small quantities in your daily cup of tea or coffee. But try and avoid things like diet soda, which has a lot of these artificial sugar substitutes added.
You're listening to Therachronicles with Dr. Rosy and Dr. Krish. This health awareness series is brought to you by Therachron, tailoring therapy.
Well, Priyangee, there was a lot of confusion around fruits as well. So some people had to say that because fruits are healthy, they would want to have a lot of fruits. But then again, most fruits are sweet. So being diabetic, should they be having it or not? What is your suggestion for our listeners?
Yeah, well, fruits are definitely sweet to taste, but they are very healthy. They are loaded with vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber. So, of course, you should have them. But remember, as I said, that fruits are also carbohydrates. They contain sugars in different forms and complex carbohydrates as well. So they have to be counted in your total allowance. You need not avoid them. In fact, you need them as a part of your balanced diet. And remember, fruits are always a better option than things like sugar-free biscuits, which are preferred choice for most people with diabetes. And remember, while consuming fruits, always consume whole fruits, not juices, not even freshly made, homemade juices without sugar, because intact fruit has fiber in it, so the sugar which is there in the fruit is not absorbed in the blood as quickly. But in case of fruit juice, you are directly consuming the sugar that is there in the fruit, and that too, not one, because typically for a serving of a fruit juice, you would need at least 2 to 3, if not more, oranges or whichever fruit juice you are making. So, it can give you a quick, blood sugar spike. And coming to your second question, which fruits to have? See, practically all fresh fruits can be allowed for a person with diabetes, but the portions will differ according to the calorie content, because different fruits have different calorie content. So your portion of mango will not be the same as the portion of your apple or guava or orange or whatever. So, if you want to have mangoes, you can have mangoes, but instead of 100 grams of pear or guava, which is a medium-sized one, you can substitute it with 45 grams, that is a slice of long mango. So that way you can substitute, because mangoes have a higher calorie content, so the portion would be reduced. Again, if you're taking melons, the portion could increase to around 250 grams, because since it has much lower calories. But people who have uncontrolled sugar levels, or people who find it difficult to stick to moderate portions, especially when it comes to mangoes, it is better to avoid these fruits like mangoes and jackfruits, at least if you have uncontrolled sugar levels. Also, dry fruits like dates or raisins can quickly raise your blood sugar, so you have to use them with caution.
There is also a question from one of our listeners who have mentioned regarding the critical scenario that happens when his blood sugar level suddenly drops below normal. Now, we know this as the hypoglycemic episode, but he recognizes this as a bout of sudden hunger, sweating, headache, shaking, dizziness, blurred vision, as he mentioned over the mail. So, what he does in these conditions is have a spoonful of sugar to stabilize his blood glucose. Now, he wanted to know what he can do at home diet-wise in such situations.
Yes, so what to do? Treat it or manage it right away with some, quick-acting carbohydrate. What is a quick-acting carbohydrate? Basically, your simple sugars. So, and if you have a blood sugar monitoring machine at hand, test your capillary blood glucose immediately. If it is below 70 milligrams per dl, then have 15 grams of, fast-acting carbohydrate, which is, how do you understand 15 grams? It's 3 teaspoons of glucose powder or honey or sugar dissolved in water, or half a cup of fruit juice, or 150 ml of regular soft drinks, not the diet versions, or 3 teaspoons of raisins. And if you find that your sugar levels are below 50, then you would need more amount, that is at least 20 to 30 grams of fast-acting carbohydrates. So you can, increase the amount accordingly. Like instead of 3, you can go by a rule of 4, so 4 teaspoons or 5 teaspoons of that. So, and it is very important to, test it again. So test it again after 15 minutes to see whether it has gone up or not, and treat it again if necessary. But, once the sugar stabilizes, once you find that it has gone up to a normal level, have some snack, preferably rich in proteins, like maybe a handful of chana or nuts, or maybe even a vegetable sandwich with whole grain bread, which will provide some complex carbohydrates. This will prevent your sugar from further going down. And also remember that at that point of time, when you're having this episode of hypo, things like chocolates, ice creams, or high-fat sweets, even if they have a lot of sugar, they will take longer to release sugar in your blood. So these are not good options at the moment. So that's what to do.
So those were some of the questions that we received, and we hope that our listeners got their answers. Thank you so much, Priyangee, for clarifying all those queries that we have received.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Krish and Rosy. It was my pleasure. Thank you, Therachronicles, for having me.
So, this was Priyangee Lahiry, a registered consulting dietitian and diabetes educator, answering your queries on mysteries of diabetic diet. To know more about how diabetic patients and their family members are coping with the disease, tune into the next episode of Therachronicles next week, where we will be talking to Joita Gupta, a daughter taking care of her diabetic parents.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Therachronicles. Found it useful? Like, comment, and share it with your friends and family. To keep yourself updated with our latest episodes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. We would love to hear from you at therachroniclespodcast@gmail.com.
The interviews present personal opinions of the guests and are generic in nature. Therachronicles and Therachron does not endorse to the opinions expressed by the guests. We understand that every individual is different and requires customized care. Your doctor knows the best, and the advice, opinions, and suggestions in the interviews are not an alternative to your doctor's opinion. Consult with your personal physician and experts before implementing any changes in your lifestyle, medication, and therapy. Therachronicles or Therachron does not have any endorsements or financial interests with any of the products, medicines, medical equipment, or brands mentioned by the guests in the interview.